Hello, hello, hello. Oh, wow, it actually does work. Hi, everyone. Sorry, there's been a new little bit of setup, so we're just going to try and see how it goes. Let me know how it looks and how it sounds. Hello, everyone. My name is Fiona, I use she, her pronouns. I am a white woman wearing a grey stripy top and very messy hair. Oh, gosh, and looking very tired. But here I am, and welcome to Too Long Didn't Read TTRPGs. I do not know about that chat bot, to be honest with you. I don't know if it looks good on the stream, but you know what? It's fine. I wanted to try something new. Yeah, and it's all gone. As soon as I say that, it's all gone. Yes, this is Too Long Didn't Read TTRPGs, in which I, Fiona, a host of a TTRPG podcast, go through and read a TTRPG that's caught my interest, whether it's from the Bookcase of Doom or from the Google Drive of Mystery. Hope you're doing well, friends. Yes, it's been a little while. Sorry for that. As always, I'm always like, here's the plan for next week. And next week does not happen. Oh, my brain just turned off then for a second. I was like, what's going on? Let me see what I was going to say. So this is a accountability read-along stream in which we read fun stuff that's been happening and whatnot, and I hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world. I'm doing okay. It's been a little bit of a time, I think, for quite a lot of us, what with the news and stuff, but we'll leave that negativity outside of the stream for now, but I hope you're doing well and you're playing lots of games wherever you are. Yeah, and oh god, I've got even the subtitles on Twitch is even doing it. Incredible. It's also -7 Celsius where I am, which is not the coldest it's been, but it's definitely pretty cold. All right, let's just go straight to it, because it's been a little while. I'm going to get eased back into it. I've rescheduled a few streams and whatnot, but let's just keep it nice and simple. Today, friends, we are going to be looking at Mask of the Mask, a GMless TTRPG. It is a TTRPG. It is a GMless powered by the Apocalypse game that explores how violence affects the lives of supposed heroes. Again, this came up as a random sort of suggestion that came up in my big long list. I did a number. I usually get like a random number from a generator, and I go down and go, I haven't covered that one. This is by someone called Hazel Amber Goswick. And what's interesting about this particular TTRPG is that it is sort of made in the style of a comic book, which is very unusual. So we've got a copy of that, and I've put a link. Yes, the link is in the chat, so please go check that out. Yeah, so what we normally do with TTRPG streams, Too Long Didn't Read TTRPG streams, God, I'm all over the place this morning, is that we are going to look at, first of all, at the sort of market copy, where you can buy it, see what it sort of gives us sort of a way to sort of sell it, its USPs, etc. And then we're going to go into the book itself, whilst obviously mentioning a couple of things about like when we're looking for RPGs. Like certainly for me, who runs a lot of RPGs, or reads a lot of RPGs, I'm not a game designer by any means. That's my first disclaimer, is I'm not a game designer, but I do read a lot of these things, so I'm always looking for something that piques my interest and what makes interesting stories. But obviously, I do not know much about game theory or game mechanics, and sometimes, as I've discovered, is that you read them and go, I'm not quite sure how this works, and then you play it and you go, that's how it works. So there's always that as well. There's always, whilst I think that you should always, play as many games as possible, reading is also fundamental. So this is like the first step, essentially. So that's disclaimer number one. I'm not a game designer. Playtest number two. Disclaimer number two. Disclaimer number two is that I've not been sponsored to do this. Mask of Mask came up randomly. I don't know Hazel Amber Goswick at all. So yeah, this is just completely random. So there's no favoritism or anything like that. This is just me being a little bit objective. I also haven't really played that many superhero TTRPGs either. It's not something that's come up. I think I've had a bit of burnout from like all the Marvel movies and stuff like that. But it's, I have seen Masks, which is another Powered by the Apocalypse game, which I have played it and I've enjoyed that, so I assume it's similar but a bit more gritty than that, so that's what we're through from there. And then final thing, content warnings. Excuse me. Content warnings. Again, I'm not entirely sure what this game will be. It sounds like there's going to be violence, there's going to be superhero levels. I don't know if it's going to be on the level of like The Boys, for example, but yeah, just take care of yourselves as we go into the stream, and yeah, we'll see how we go. I'll try and mention content warnings as we come up and look at it. But first things first, let's go over and look at the where we can buy this. So yeah, I'll put a link in the chat just in case, and it also means that we can make sure that that chat thing is working. There you go. Oh, good old restream. I don't know if it should go the other way around. I don't know if it should go up rather than down, but again, we're just trying these things out. As I discovered last week when I was sort of rejigging these things around on the stream, I was like, you know what? Let's have a play around. It kind of doesn't matter what it looks like. So yeah. Anyway, away from Big Fiona Face, and to this wonderful RPG. I'm going to maybe turn the music down a little bit louder in my ears. There we go. All right, so Mask of the Mask. I mean, first of all, what a cracking website for it. Like, I know it's just itch, but I always appreciate when people think about how an itch site looks. Sometimes, you know, again, we're not all experts in creating good like web fronts or web stores. You know, sometimes it's a bit beyond us. But I just think there's something amazing about it. When you waved your hand like that, the mic level dropped a bit. I'm not being a bit technical, but still audible, but not as in front. Don't freak. Just think. I did think something happened, so might tell you what. I'm gonna check something out, and then I'll be back in a second. So I did think something went off in my head. So it means I can try the two BRB thing. So I'll check it out, and we'll see. All right, like I say. Alright, I'm going to try that now. I've literally not done anything. But I did think something went wrong with my headphones when I did something, so we'll see. I'm just going to speak like close to the mic as possible, and then maybe I'll check it out after the stream, because I don't want to start. But I appreciate the heads up on that, because I did think something went wrong, but I wasn't entirely sure. So, let's talk about it. So, I really enjoy how the... Oh, I've not even got the right screen on. There you go. It's clearly been a little while. So, as we're looking at this particular web store, we can see a couple of things in that... hang on, what am I doing? What am I thinking? I just had a thought, which I know is very dangerous at the best of times. Yeah, that's the right mic. Weird. So yeah, so the web store, like, again, it's been designed to sort of like show this game at its best. And I just really love the yellow on black. I think that's really cool. Obviously, at the top here, we've got the actual sort of like logo, Mask of the Mask, which feels very sort of superhero, sort of like yeah, comic book stylings as well. And there you can see on the right here, there we got the actual sort of cover, which again looks like a comic book. We've got these sort of different sort of masks. So we've got like almost like a Batman type mask up here, then more like a Robin one, like circular with green on it, some dice as well. And yeah, at the side here, Mask of the Masks, and then the writers, the lead game designers on as well. Brilliant. Love that. So what does it say here in terms of marketing copy? Mask of the Masks is a GM-less powered by the Apocalypse game that explores how violence affects the lives of supposed heroes. Masks of the Mask is a comic book that pairs imagery with scenes with game mechanics and prose. It is a set of tools for crafting and a mystery that only ends in doom. Right, so we've got those three things here. We've got supposed heroes, maybe not superheroes, but I would assume superheroes or vigilantes. And again, we can see some examples of the pages here. Creating a mystery that only ends in doom. So look at those 3 points. It's like, here are some unique points about it. So we've got, it is a commentary on the inherent violence that comes with the TTRPG medium. Interesting. I always say that I don't particularly like having combat in every single game I do. And then a commentary on inherent violence that comes with the superhero genre. Oh, so it is superheroes. And then is a story that won't stop asking you questions. So what an interesting copy. It's like, here's the name of it. Front load it with like the name of the TTRPG, what it is in a pinch at the top. So that's that unique selling point at the top, like in a sentence. And then another unique selling point, another unique selling point, and then the sort of meta version of it as well. Pretty good, huh? We've got some physical copies available, and then we've got the different credits. So there you go, Hazel Amber Goswick is the writer, artist, and designer. And Natalie Eve Quinn is the editor and co-designer as well. And then we've got some cool things like the variant cover as well. Apparently you can get a variant cover, and we've got some play testers and editors and all that sort of thing as well. You can, if you want to check out like some press on it and some actual plays, you can check out like Party of One, Jeff Stormer's particular podcast, which with Hazel Amber Goswick. That's pretty cool. And some press on Polygon as well. Maybe we'll look at that in a second. As you can see here, it is $10. So £8-ish. And you get a lot for it. As you can see, you can get the variant cover. You get the sheets. You get some grayscale sheets and some printer-friendly sheets. Now, the grayscale was actually quite interesting because somebody in the comments down here mentioned like wanted to be able to have like playbooks that weren't so heavy on the black ink. Because obviously, as you can see here, if I open some of these pages, oh man, how cracking are these? Yeah, they're quite heavy on the black and white, on the sort of black and white ink. I would probably go into it. I mean, you don't use white ink, do you? So yeah, there you go. So already, like, I love the colours. I love it. It's very eye-catching compared to other superhero games. Like the other ones we've covered here on this channel is the Spectaculars is the one I remember most. And yeah, so I just think it's really different. And that one definitely was more family-friendly, child-friendly, etc. Whereas this feels like it's edging towards the more gritty, maybe sort of, in my head, weirdly, I'm thinking like DC comics, which I know is not the thing, but like, you know, like sort of, well, The Boys is like the extreme level. I don't know if it's that extreme, but I'm thinking stuff like maybe Power Fantasy, if anyone's been reading the Kieran Gillen comics recently. That's pretty fun as well. Yeah. All right, that's the sort of thing. Yeah, I'm intrigued. I quite like this copy. As a result, I like the 3 points at the top and then further 3 points, which sort of like draws you in. So you come for these ones and then you stay for these ones, the commentaries and the story that won't stop asking you questions. Nice, simple, neat. All right, let's go into... get away from Chrome. There we go. Perfect. All right, so... So yeah, this is the cover. Again, we're just looking at the normal PDF for this compared to the variant version. Watchman style vibes, absolutely, yes. That's you know what? That's a much better sort of medium between The Boys and Spectaculars, isn't it? Watchman. I'd even say, oh, I can't remember now. This is probably I'm not au fait with graphic novels, unfortunately. Certainly superhero ones. But yeah, Power Fantasy is the one I've been reading a little bit recently. As always, let's check. No AI, of course. Thank God there's no AI. No alt text available here, which is a shame. But again, when did this come out? If I have a look, see. When did it come out? Doesn't say. I'm sure it came out a little while ago. It's been on my list for a little while. Well, presumably it probably came in 2023, right? So about 2 or 3 years old. That's when the Polygon article came out. But yeah, I really like the cover, as I said. It feels very comic book. And I can imagine if you bought a copy of it, it looks like a comic book as well. I mean, obviously, we'll go into the like inner pages as well. So yeah, I just think it... When you're thinking of like your bookshelf and like Zines and all that, because obviously it is Zine month as well, being able to display your copies of books, I think is always important if they're not hardback. So yeah, I wondered how you display this. Maybe if you had like a stand or something and you had all your sort of Zines and stuff like that, I think it would look quite cool there. Stand out quite a bit. And yeah, I really love the yellow and black. I think that's just really, it's really eye-catching. All right. Oh, now that is interesting. So yeah, here we've got the front sort of front page, inside page. We've got the masks and we've got the credits. Sorry, my brain switched off and on again, which is always good. And again, it's got a nice sort of style to it. But here at the bottom, which I know you can't quite see, but if I move my Adobe Reader up, whoop, you've got fonts used as well. And this is something I've always been a big fan of, is when you not only credit like, you know, where you got your images from, but actually what fonts do you use? Especially that's kind of important with comic books, right? Obviously you have like, you know, the illustrator, the colorist, could be someone completely different, but you also have like the letter person. I think is it the person that does? It's not the writer comes up with the story, and is it? It's usually like letters by so and so, right? I'm not making that up as well. So yeah, I very much appreciate, for something that's quite iconic in comic books, is like the actual sort of typography. I think it is typography now that I think about it. So yeah, I appreciate not only saying what the font is, but actually who made it as well. Maybe they were made especially for this particular RPG, which is very, very cool if that is the case. Like making your own font. Wild. All right. What I will do, I'll move this back down a little bit. I'll zoom a little bit as well. Oh, she says. We'll get there. No, we're not getting there. That's why I should test all these things before you come on stream. That's fine, Fiona. And that is a loud bit of music. Where is that coming from? Let's try that again. There we go. It's all happening today. So this is the forward. I might zoom out a little bit. It's actually, the text isn't too bad. I'll zoom in if I need to for the actual comic panels. So the forward says, "You've never seen a game like this." Now, I'm not saying this to insult your intelligence. You've almost certainly seen a Supers game. Maybe you've played Marvel Supers or even Heroes Unlimited. Heck, everyone knows Masks. That's me. I know Masks. And this is certainly not the first Powered by the Apocalypse game to catch your eye. Whether it's Glitter Hearts, I actually haven't played Glitter Hearts, you know, or Monster Hearts, you've seen a Powered by the Apocalypse games before. Hang on, let me do... That's the waltzing. Slight respite. I'm just trying to think which ones... Yeah, that's okay. I'm just turning down the music for my own benefit there. I don't mean this as an idle promo speak when I say you've never seen a game like this. I mean it as a stone-cold fact. This game is an experience, carefully crafted down to the specific colours you're going to see on these pages. This game descends into darkness with a fury and a passion and a deep, deep love. This game is unforgettable. I fully believe this game will break your heart. Masks of the Masks is worth playing, worth reading, and worth cherishing. I urge you to do all three. Nice. And that's by, as this forward is by Cat McDonald, designer. Not that you can see. Oh, you know what? Let me move so scrolling is enabled. There we go. By Peach Garden Games. I don't know that particular one. There we go. That's better, isn't it? Much better. All right. I can see the next slide already is going to be the beginning of the comic, so we'll just go bit by bit, shall we? So, what I'll do, because again, I have a feeling, yeah, none of this has alt text, which I guess I understand to a certain extent, but would it have been hard to do? Oh, hello, Evil Bread. Hello, sorry for being late. Not at all, not at all. We had some tech issues at the beginning, so glad to have you here, my friend. We've just started. We're doing a Mask of the Mask, which is like a TTRPG about violence in superhero games, but in the style of a comic, which is quite interesting. We've just started. So what I'll do, I'll read out the text. Maybe I'll try and do a little bit more of a graphic description, because obviously there are images in this, but there is no alt text, which is a shame. I don't know how would you do this? You probably would do it for each panel if you had the chance as well. So humble with the low expectations. I try my best. You know, it's if I'm low with expectations, then when I surprise you, it's really like big. Oh, you know it, Evil Bread. Oh, nice. So let's start. So on the left, we see like what looks like a side, like a pavement or a sidewalk with like presumably I would say blood coming off it with a mask on it, and it says, "Why do we wear masks? To hide, to cope." The second panel is then a close-up of an individual with wearing a green sort of like superhero mask that just covers their eyes, but nothing else. So you probably would recognize who this person was. Are you really you in that mask, or is it a sad excuse to be someone else, someone better? Then in the third panel we have like almost like a what's the word, like a target radiating out from someone's torso. Like it looks like to be a superhero of some sort, with sort of a real bright light and then radiating out in different sort of concentric circles from sort of like light yellow, orange, red. And it says, "Someone worse. Who are you but a doomed protagonist against the world?" And all the top three panels here are like in a sort of orange glow. The next three panels are in sort of like a purple, so maybe indicating like light and day and night. On the left here, we have like a hand, like a drawing of a hand, which seems to have tokens and some D6s in it. And it says, "To answer these questions, we still need the tools of the trade. At least 2 6-sided dice and some tokens." The next panel, again in purple, we've got like a notebook and a pencil, and it says something to write. And then it says, it's like an individual holding like a mask, like 2 hands, and it says, "and 2 to 5 masks." And then at the bottom here, it looks like we have presumably like the playbooks or the archetypes that we'll be playing, and each one of these panels, each of the 5 panels, is like an image of that particular person. So we have the Paragon, who looks like a very Raven-like character with just no face. So like a big cowl and a sort of like male-presenting sort of body, like skin suit. We have the detach, which looks a bit like Dr. Manhattan in my eyes. So like a blue-skinned individual with like bright yellow, glowing with some sexy makeup, in like a red suit. Is it the contrite? Which looks like, in my head, what Robin is. So like a Batboy-esque with like a green mask and then a green sort of suit on it. The Air, which is like I would say a mixture between like Deadpool and Mystique. So an individual with sort of cropped close hair to their face, wearing like a pink sort of suit. And then the Hardline, which looks like if Cyclops had been to the gym quite a bit. So we have an individual that's sort of wearing a visor, again, with a cowl on their head, and then some big pecs, big pecs, and a six-pack, and they're sort of in orange. So we've got like a blue, sort of a pinky blue, green, purple, and then this orange character going from left. I was commenting on the author's preface. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's really funny. I mean, yeah, actually, you know what? We didn't even go talking about this. It's not the author, to be fair. This is Kat McDonald. It's someone else has sort of written this. I think it's interesting, isn't it? I feel like we haven't seen a game like this. Like, we just looked at the first page, for example. I've never seen a game that does a comic book style. Like, certainly not all the way through. Like, Die the RPG has that comic book style at the beginning to sort of introduce what the game is. And I think, yeah, it'll be interesting. So it's crafted down to specific colours. Like, I noticed that coming in, that he's got these colours here, sort of indicating something. So that's quite interesting. All right, going on to the second page. And now, I meant to say at the beginning, again, this is how bad I've been at this stream already. But this game is only 23 pages long in the PDF. So it's actually quite a short game as a result. So at the top 3 panels, we have sort of like, again, it goes back to that sort of night-looking thing. We're outside, it looks like, for the first one, with like a cityscape with like skyscrapers in a sort of a purple colour. And it says, but what awaits these masks? A crumbling metropolis doomed by those in charge? And then the second one is like a conspiracy board with like what I call those, the sort of mystery or noir, like shutters, like silhouetted on it, and it says a grand conspiracy, like some sort of conspiracy board. And then the final sort of third panel here, it says, or will this be their end? Which is like one mask holding up another mask in the rain, as if that other person has been gravely injured. Next 3 panels go to that orange light again, and we have on the left-hand side, the first panel says, our answers lie within the pillars. The masks may carry these pillars and shift weight when necessary. And it looks like, again, the contrite there is sort of like, I don't think it's acid. I think it's some sort of like fluid of some sort of tricky thing, and they're sort of like trapped underneath some sort of pillars, some like being held down prisoner. The middle one says, or one master may carry them all. And it looks like atop of a rooftop, there's a water tower in the background, and there's someone sort of gloved hand is like, reading them. It's probably reading this particular comic, as I realize it there, like reading it through. And then the final panel in this middle section says, regardless of the bearer, their weight burdened us all, and it's somebody holding a watch in that orange light. I see, it's a fantasy. Very good, very good. All right, and then at the bottom, we have 4 separate panels indicating presumably like elements of play settings. We have like the city, which looks like, again, a broken window looking out onto the cityscape. The authorities, which looks like a sort of gumshoe detective investigating. It's the same. That's really cool. So it's the same place, the same location. So we've got the broken window there. We have an investigator, a detective coming into a room and there's blood on the floor. Then the next panel, the third panel, is called the Enigma, and it's like the back end of the authorities panel. So behind the shoulder of the detective, looking out, and we see the broken window from the city. That's pretty cool. And then finally, it has the Doom, and it's that watch again that we saw previously, which is broken, and it's got a bit of blood on it, sort of indicating time's end. Fantasy. No, I got your joke. Don't worry. Okay. Then we're on to the next page. We have 3 panels. This is a sort of purpley hue. So again, outside, there's rain happening in all of them. And the first one, it's like someone's foot going through a puddle. Clearly a super foot, I was meant to say. No, a soup's foot, a mask foot, and it says drives. A question unique to each mask. And then the second panel we have is like 2 individuals sort of facing each other down during an alleyway. One is in one we see the sort of over the shoulder of, and the other we see in silhouette with one sort of like yellow eye appearing there. It says it eats at them every day as they push towards the unknown. And then the final panel, it is the air, that sort of that look, like again maybe they're walking past each other and they're having this conversation. And it says, but it is asked and answered most when a mask makes a move. So it's again explaining how Powered by the Apocalypse works, this idea of like it's a conversation than anything else. And we have like, do you know when to stop? Do you even know who you are? This is sort of interchange between the two masks. Pretty cool. Okay, then it goes on to moves, so the next 3 panels. And we have the actions every mask must take guided by the dice. And yeah, it's like somebody holding up 2d6 and looking across to, not the super, what's he called? What they're called, sorry. The hard line. Wait, is it the hard line? Yeah. They've got a visor on. What's interesting, I realise now, because there's no alt text. These are all illustrated drawings, so there's no way any of this text would be readable. So none of it's screen readable either. That is a bit of a shame. In that panel I was talking about with the moves, it says we have to stop what's coming. Next panel says, but these moves cannot be made without thought. To make a move, a mask must answer probing questions. And then again we have the not the hard line. It's the hard line and the contrite talking to each other. The hard line says, you don't even have a lead. Are you prepared for what we might find? And clearly like some sort of very serious sort of discussion. The third panel is the sort of like the contrite, like looking in on themselves, reflecting. And it says, when the answer to a question is yes, a bonus of 1 is added to the dice roll. And they say, I have to be. Very good. Bold choice to make it a comic. I get the idea, but still. I think but it stands out as different. Again, you missed it a little bit at Evil Bread at the beginning. The foreword talked about how this is unlike any other superhero TTRPG you've come across. And I think that's fair. I think it stands out. I mean, again, I'll go back for your benefit because I appreciate you weren't here. But this is the cover of it. And look how that would stand out against all the other sort of Zions and TTRPGs. Like, I think it's great as a result. And especially when it's quite a thin book, 23 pages. I think that just works really well. Anyway, moving down. All right. The final set of panels on this page, talking about moves, it goes to a red color, and it looks like an action sequence of some sort. And it says, so the first one, we have the hardline jumping out of a window. Classic. And it says, pillars also make moves, though not with dice. They build on failures of the masks. Oh, interesting. Pillars must be these things here: the city, the authorities, the enigma, and doom. Oh, this feels very much like Jade Dragon does it in their games with Sleepaway, and I think Wanderhome has it as well, where it has these like roaming sort of settings. And I think, what was it called? Going Rogue 2E also had that sort of thing where we could play different factions and spend tokens. And that would, in fact, like go onto the environment and the story. So that's why I feel like these pillars will be. So that's interesting. Second panel, we have when a mask rolls a 6 or below, a pillar pushes the narrative with one of their listed moves. And a mask gains a token. So you get a failure token, you get XP essentially. You can see here, like the hard line is clearly like in the middle of a fight. I wonder if they've been hit by a bin. Or maybe they're falling. Perhaps, and there's individuals looking at them. The third panel here, the hard line is on the floor, covered by a bin. And they're sort of looking up, getting up to their feet, and it says, tokens can then be spent to give a mask a +1 on any move. Yeah, so the more you fail, the more tokens you get, and therefore you can make that success. So a bit like Never Stop Blowing Up as well. I like the Watchmen vibes. Oh, hello, Ben. How are you doing, my friend? Yes, we were just saying that this is it feels very Watchmen, and I'm not necessarily au fait with all the graphic novels, but yeah, I just thought it stood out. Nice to have you here, my friend. Okay, so next page 7, we've got another set of panels, obviously, and we've got conditions at the top. So the top 3 panels is actually of the same image. That's really cool. I love that. And it looks like it's the... what's the person called again? I don't remember these archetypes. The Paragon. Paragon is sort of like doing a sort of very Batman move, like looking at maybe up quite high in front of like a I want to say a city sign or stuff. I can see it says police behind it, and there's some graffiti, which is interesting. And it's pouring with rain as well, and it's sort of covering their body. And it says, I'll read out the text, it says, conditions. The feelings that trouble masks. These conditions must be felt when a move asks to mark one. Or, if the time is right, a mask may choose to mark a condition themselves. Mark conditions give a bonus of +1 to one move, and a penalty to another. Interesting. Also, I realised what's quite interesting about it having it as a comic book style TTRPG is that you have to be so concise with your wording. You have to be, it is show, don't tell in that sort of sense. Like, again, it's the images doing the effect. So whilst, I'm trying to read out what the panels look like for people who aren't necessarily seeing it on screen, or if they don't have access to anything visual, it's so interesting that the text is very, it has to get across what it means in so few words. Considering how many TTRPGs we have looked at in the past where you're like, oh, so it means this. And also then it doesn't repeat itself too often, probably because you could probably find what it means. I think the only thing I'd say is that, again, because it's not screen readable, so it's all illustration, I think stuff like having these headings, so conditions, moves, drives, that sort of thing, I don't know if I'd have it as headings or something. I would try and make it as screen readable, so if you could need to find it, you could find it easily, searchable, for example. Hi Ben. For Ben's benefit as well, your episode of DM's Book Club is coming out tomorrow, and I'll make sure to tag you in it. Yeah, appreciate it. That's me doing admin on stream, but I was just like, whilst you're here. So yeah, be excited. All right, the next section, the next 3 panels we have is breakdown moves, and this looks like we're on a planet of some sort, where this individual, whose name I've already forgotten, not the authorities, they're called the Detached. Interesting. So again, that sort of Dr. Manhattan kind of look as well. And it looks like in these panels, they're sort of staring off into the sun or into a star, and then they activate whatever power it is and then zip off towards that destination. So it says breakdown moves. What happens when there's nothing to do but feel? Breakdowns can happen at any time, but they always occur after conditions worsen. Whenever a mask marks their 4th condition, this triggers a breakdown. There are several types of breakdown moves to make, each with their own consequences. It is a mask's decision what they do to themselves and others. Interesting. Also, with this game being a GMless Powered by the Apocalypse game as well, that'd be quite fun. So everyone had to... Oh, yay! It counts as promo too. Phew, that's my admin done. This is quite cool though. I do like it. Breakdowns can happen any time. They always occur after conditions worsen. I think that makes sense. It's hard moves, essentially, right? Then we have... we've got the air turning up in the final 3 panels here. Is surprising someone. They punch somebody out, and then there's a close-up on them in the final 3rd panel at the bottom here. And it says in the text, destructive moves for when you no longer pull your punches. A particularly horrific breakdown can cause a mask's self-destruction, leading them to worse and more violent behaviours. So they lose a move and replace it with a more destructive one. Oh, I like that. Again, feels very much like The Boys, that sort of descent into bad stuff, perhaps, in Redfall. That would be cool, because Powered by the Apocalypse GMing isn't always the funnest. I actually agree with you. I prefer, one of my favourite Powered by the Apocalypse games is Bluebeard's Bride, and I prefer that because a lot of the stuff comes from the players on that, and it's obviously horror and a little bit of caretaking stuff, but it's not do this, do that. I feel like Monster of the Week could be like that. Again, I say that I have never run it or played it myself. So this, I like the fact that it's everyone is a superhero. So it's not just... I mean, you can have one that's maybe a director or something. I think that's what they mentioned earlier. Go back to it. Here, or one may mask... Oh, I see. The pillars. That's what it probably says. So everyone can control the pillars, or one person can just do all the pillars. That might be what it's saying there. But yeah, I like the idea that you're in charge of not only your mask, but also a pillar that could affect someone else. That's pretty fun. All right. Then we go to some green 3 panels at the top here. And it's the contrite sort of... Looks like they're going back home and basically doing a Spider-Man trying to get back into their apartment without anyone noticing them. And it's raining outside, and it's looks quite lonely. I'm getting these vibes of sort of lonely and sadness. I don't know about anyone else. The text reads, once the masks are worn and the pillars are built, there should be intrigue in the air, and a comfortable amount of dread. What happens now shouldn't be so clear. The only thing that's certain is the long conversation ahead, and the disquieting finality of the conversation's end. Whoa, that's pretty badass, I think. All right, then we have another 3 panels, but the image itself goes over the sort of like bounding white lines, which is pretty fucking sick. And again, it's the same image, and it looks like, ooh, I did hit my mic then, great. And it looks like it's like basically like a big sort of like working like a plasma laser would be like just all this stuff going towards one person, and there's like presumably a mask in the middle, absorbing or taking in all this energy from both sides. It looks pretty dramatic, like a proper like scene from a film, like a Marvel film, or even like in my head like Into the Spider-Verse, that sort of thing. And it says in terms of the text, it says, the conversation is what drives it all. When one thing snowballs into another, that's the conversation taking hold. It's inevitable. And then at the bottom here, oh, that's quite cool. It's like a zooming in shot on these D6 at the end of the 3rd panel at the bottom. But from like a street view, so we go past like a lamp, the pavement, and it keeps zooming in, and then we see the 2 D6 there. And it says, ask questions and build on the answers. Scenes will form and moves will be made. Very cool. And then we just got a 1-page sort of like breaker there. We have 2 dice, 2 D6, that show a 4 and a 1, and a token there as well with some shadow effect. Again, just to break it up. All right. So that's the colour bit of it. And then we go into some black and white panels as well. There's a lot more text on this one. I think they've gone, we need to use our panels a bit more to add stuff here. So if an image comes up, I'll try and describe it. But yeah, it looks like it's just the moves themselves for this one. So if I zoom in a little bit. So it says mask moves. And yeah, in the first panel, you have someone like about to put on the mask from their point of view. And the text, all these boxes, by the way, they're also black, but then with these sort of the same sort of like comic book sort of, what's the word? Not caption, but comic book bounding boxing. So it says, moves. Push the narrative towards its end. They are the main way any conflict is resolved. When masks make moves, they roll 2d6 dice and answer the questions within the move and their drive. Each question answered yes provides a bonus of +1 to the dice roll. If the roll is 6 or below, a pillar makes a move instead, and the mask gains a token. Tokens can be spent to give the mask a bonus or +1 to the dice roll. So it sounds like, oh, I can see there's some mixed ones there as well. So like it doesn't say what happens if you get like a 7 to 9, which is often what happens for Powered by the Apocalypse. But I can see in some of these the trigger text here tells us otherwise. So fair enough. All right. So the first move here is rough them up. When you fight someone vulnerable to you, roll with questions. And it says, is violence really the only solution? Have you hurt them enough? So if you answered yes to those 2 things, you get a +1 to your roll. It says, on a 7+, you hurt each other and mark a condition, which is, you gain a +1 to something, but you get -2 to something else from one of your abilities. On a 10+, you take them out, choose one of the following. You avoid getting hurt, you don't mark a condition. They aren't severely they aren't severely wounded. They're still conscious. So a bit more flavoursome then. That's interesting. Oh, I understand. Maybe what it is that these are cumulative, right? So you would already mark a condition and then you would take them out and add something else. So here you can choose not to take that condition as a result. So you'll always take the condition if you've got a 7+. That makes sense. Alright, the second move we've got is looking for answers. So when you search for ways to stop what's coming, roll with questions. The questions here we are, do you already have a lead? And then, are you prepared for what you will find? On a 7+, choose one. So you find someone involved in this, history comes to light, you learn some perspective. On a 7 to 9, choose one as well. So this is the mixed sort of result here. It says there's danger nearby, the answers are too much for you, so mark a condition, or you unveil an uncomfortable truth. I like that. Very cool. Okay, stumble through the danger. When you do something really risky, explain what you plan to do and roll with questions. I feel like we're always going to roll with questions, right? It says here as well. Maybe there's other moves. Yeah, breakdown moves I can see there. So the questions here for Stumble Through the Danger is, have you done something like this before? And are you utilising your assets? On a 7+, your plan somehow works. On a 7 to 9, mark a condition or lose something important. Alright. Okay, the fourth mask move we have here is manipulate someone. When you influence someone susceptible to you, say what you want them to do and roll with questions. Have you done anything for them? Do they care what you want? Hatchling Games, hello my friend, nice to have you here. Making a graphic novel TTRPG hybrid would be a dream. Yes, well this is what we were saying earlier, is that it's very different to other like superhero TTRPGs ever. However, something I think you would find very interesting about this, Rich, there's absolutely no alt text at all, which is a bit tricky if, say if I go back here, because I appreciate you might have been here earlier, you have some really cool images, but also the text isn't readable. So that's the one thing I would say. So if you are thinking about that, keep that in mind. I know you're very big on accessibility, so I just thought I'd mention that. On a 7+, they do what you ask or the best they can do. And then on a mixed result of 7 to 9, choose one. You have to do something for them in return. This is the last time they'll do something for you. That's cool. I like that. That feels very on brand with superhero comics. Alright, so those are the 4 mask moves at the top, and then we have breakdown moves. Here at the top panel here, we have an individual sort of walking away in the right. Oh, they put it. Breakdown. Of course, this is when you mark too many conditions. That's what it is. And yet, I can see here there's someone stuffed their super suit into a trash bin as they walk away. I remember now. So it says masks can make a breakdown move anytime they feel like breaking. But if they mark all 4 of their conditions, they have no choice but to have a breakdown. There are 6 breakdown moves to choose from, and it is up to the mask what kind of breakdown they have. So we have, I'll read out the names of them. So we have hurt someone that cares about you, spill your heart, mask the pain, accept doom, self-destruct, and leave it all behind. So, hurt someone that cares about you. Clear a condition and hurt a friend in whatever way makes you feel better. In the game, obviously. If they're another mask, they mark a condition. If they belong to a pillar, they make a pillar move. Oh, interesting. So yeah, that idea of those setting elements as well. Hatchling says, yeah, that's a bit of a shame. I wonder if comics online have alt text as standard. I don't know. I wonder, again, it feels like it's something that should be done. I say this as someone who doesn't know, but you know, with the typography and lettering, that's usually an individual person making sure that the font works, etc. I don't know if that is screen readable. So I assume that there must be a way to it. Maybe it's an investigation for you and I another time. But I just found it interesting, especially like all this, for example. There's no imagery here, but there's no way you would be able to screen read this particular bit. Which again, is that something where this came out maybe 2 or 3 years ago, so maybe it wasn't as at the forefront as it could be. But yeah, again, wouldn't take that hard. You've already got the text. So yeah, so the second one for the breakdown move is spill your heart. Clear 3 conditions and tell someone how you truly feel. This feels very Monster Hearts, doesn't it? If another mask helps you through work through your pain, they clear a condition as well. Mask the pain. Choose a condition to permanently mark, and then clear the rest. Explain how it changes you. That's cool. I like that. Then we have accept doom. Tag yourself. How are you feeling today about the world? Accept doom or self-destruct. Accept doom, clear all conditions, and the doom advances the clock. So the doom, looking back at it, so I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but I think it's kind of interesting. That's one of these settings, isn't it? There you go, the doom, and of course that is a clock as well. How fascinating. Self-destruct. Clear all the conditions and permanently replace a masked move with a destructive move. And then finally we have leave it all behind. This life is too much for you. Leave the city and take off the mask. You will not return. So that's a way to retire your character. Interesting. That sort of covers all the sort of options there for like tropes in superhero stories. I really like that. Alright, and then the third type of move we have is destructive move. So here we can see a fight going on between a mask and presumably a criminal of some sort, and you can see actually as you go through the sort of, it's really dark, the sort of inking here. Okay, So, destructive moves. When a mask self-destructs, they replace one of their mask moves with a destructive move. Destructive moves work the same as mask moves, but they allow for masks to indulge in more violent actions. These moves are permanent. There is no way back to who you once were. Learn to live with it. Now that is interesting. Replace a mask move. So you would replace one of these 4 moves up here. Rough them up, look for answers, stumble through danger, manipulate someone. So this idea of like, again, you're going down the slippery slope. Whoa. Oh, interesting. You see here, so like it tells you which one you would take and which one it would replace. You can't just be like, oh, I hurt for answers, it replaces rough them up. No. So we've got beat them down, replaces rough them up. Hurt for answers, replaces look for answers. Put them through danger, which is stumble through danger, and then terrorize someone, replace manipulate someone. Whoa, very cool. I like that. I like the theming of that. So. Beat them down says, when you fight someone vulnerable to you, roll with questions. This is fun for you, isn't it? You won't grow from this. Oh wow, that's not a question, is it? On a 7+, you each heard each other mark a condition. On a 10+, you take them out, choose one. You're unchallenged, don't mark a condition. They'll probably survive. They might wake up eventually. So it's very much flavoursome, that. But of course it's trying to lean into that idea of like there's more violence with the superhero sort of aspect of it, and yeah, again, that sort of idea of the boys and Watchmen, etc. Yeah. And then hurt for answers replaces look for answers. So when you force information out through someone through violence, roll with questions. Are they even involved in all of this? Your hands are bloody. On a 7+, ask them one and they'll answer the best that they can. How are you involved? What has happened? What will happen? And on a 7 to 9, choose one. You broke them? Ooh, they don't know much? Well, there's danger nearby. Then we have put them through danger, replaces stumble through danger. This says, when you put someone else in danger to save yourself, roll with questions. Do they trust you? You're too dangerous to be around. On a 7+, you save yourself. 7 to 9, choose 2. On a 10+, choose 1. They mark a condition. They'll never trust you. The danger is worse than you thought. Interesting. And then we've got terrorize someone. This replaces manipulate someone. When you instill fear into someone, say what you want them to do and roll with questions. Yes, sorry, my brain went there for a second. Can you break them? And they won't stop crying. God, that's brutal, isn't it? On a 7+, they'll do the best they can do. On a 10, clear a condition. Gosh, that's brutal, isn't it? You terrorize someone and then you clear a condition due to that sort of grief and that trauma. Content warnings here for violence. Probably against vulnerable individuals that had nothing to do with it. All right. Then we're going... now we're going to the actual playbooks themselves. So this is page 13 out of 23. Might not go through all of them, but like again, it's sort of set out as if it was a comic book. So we have the paragon here at the top, and it tells us what the drive is. Are you being responsible? Here, what assets you have. So this is where you choose your superpowers here. So here it's got flight, invulnerability, enhance physicality, enhanced senses, academic degree, wealth, charisma, creativity. Oh, it feels like a Batman type character as well. Maybe that's the thing I'd say. Maybe it says it later. Like, what kind of archetype would this, if I want to play like Superman or I want to play a Batman kind of character, which one would you play, to give that sense of like what it looks like? Because I think Masks does that from what I remember. And it says identity here as well, choose at least 2. We've got regal adornments, a shining symbol, a billowing fabric, a statuesque, forged in metal, friendly face, draped in sunshine. Draped in sunshine, great. And then it says, who did you lose? Choose at least 1, so you choose like your touchstone there. Why couldn't you save them? Choose at least 1. What makes you believe you can fix everything? And again, sort of motivation drives there. What do you want to leave behind? And then some drives there as well. I do think these are good suggestions. I'd like to, if it was just like, and make something up. Like, because I guess it's like trying to make it easy as possible that you just pick and choose, or roll randomly perhaps. Oh, interesting. And then at the bottom, it says like we've got a panel for relationships and then the conditions as well. then it's the relationships like ask the detached, where would you help me if I were in need? Ask the contrite, why don't you want my help? Ask the air, what can I teach you? And ask the hardline, why do you hurt people? So again, that's Powered by the Apocalypse thing of like asking other people questions, but here it is actually linked to the playbook itself, the archetype, rather than going like, oh, here's some questions you want asked. So that'd be interesting depending on how many people you have in the game. If you had like 5 people, that'd be a really interesting like dynamic. Conditions we have, this is the first time we've looked at it. We've got doubt, we've got fear, we've got sorrow, and we've got torment. I'm going to say, are they just... No, they're different for each one. How interesting. So doubt is like stumble through danger is +1 and -2 for rough them up. Oh, that's very evocative of like... I see, so that's really interesting. So it's linked to these things, each of the moves. That's quite cool. Fear, it says +1 to stumble through danger, but manipulate someone is -2. Oh, interesting. Sorrow is another stumble through danger, and -2 for looking for answers. So each of those first 3 conditions actually is a +1 to only the same mechanic. And then torment is +1 to rough them up and -2 to stumble through danger. That's interesting. Okay, and then we have the detached, which is their main drive is like, do you feel like you belong? We've got timelessness, doomed sight, malleable form for assets, glowing form, unnatural beauty, monstrous shadow, shrouded in loneliness. What do relationships say? Why do you care so much? To the paragon. The contrite says, ask them, why do you choose to suffer? Ask the air, why is your mask not your own? I would actually assume that was more Batman, if anything. Ask the hardline, why am I going to kill you? Oh, brutal. And then their conditions are like pity, righteousness, sorrow, and torment. The contrite is, are you making a difference? We've got gadgetry, combat, artificial body, customized vehicle, academic degree. Yes, I have a master's in vigilante stuff. How do you carry the weight to the paragon? Ask the detached, how would I stop you if I needed to? Ask the airs, why won't you take off the mask? God, everyone's like harping on the air, aren't they? Ask the hardline, what makes hurting people easy for you? So that's the sort of person that will easily go into violence, I guess. How interesting. Why do we surfer? To conquer the waves. The air is, do you know who you are? Ooh, this is interesting. The air, choose at least 3 from other masks. So you don't have your own stuff there. That's interesting. And identity, again, so you as almost like a customized one. You right, Fancy Alice? Just scratching yourself a little bit. Yeah. Oh, how interesting. And then he says, whose mask are you wearing? Why do you wear the mask? Why shouldn't you wear the mask? What will you do with the mask? That's interesting. How can I be like you for the paragon? How do I know? Do you know how I can belong to the detached? Contrite, how should I be unlike you? And then who failed you to the hardline? Oof. And then the hardline, here we go. When do you know when to stop? And you got military training, covert ops experience. Interesting. So you've got so many different. This feels like a Punisher type character, doesn't it? Yeah. Interesting. Identity, but covered in blood. Tag yourself. Who are you? I reeks of neglect. I am reeks of neglect. I forgot. I'm Ben Invincible says, see, I would have thought Batman is why don't you take off the mask because he's got this thing about always being Batman, and that Bruce Wayne is the mask and is only a means for ends. He doesn't have a life outside Batman. That's a good point. So yeah, that's what I said, right? I was thinking like, I was like, the air, I think I was thinking of like, riches and fortune, etc. That's what I was thinking. The air. Again, maybe that's the thing I would, again, suggest if there was going to be another update to this. It's like, have some examples of like, what kind of, like, you know, I wanted to play Superman, I wanted to play Batman, which of these playbooks would I play? Like, I feel like the contrite is Robin. But I wonder if I'm basing that on looks rather than these things, because we've got, you know, combat training, gadgetry, all that sort of thing, which Batman also has quite a bit of, to be fair. And then the hard line there. So they ask the Paragon, what are you hiding from? They ask the detached, why have you given up? The contrite, what will it take for you to cross the line? That's the air. What do you have without the mask? God, everyone's going on about the air and the mask thing, isn't it? All right, and then we're going to look at the pillars. Ah, this is exciting. So yeah, we'll look at the city pillar for sure. So, and this is what I was saying before, like if you've seen any Possum Creek games, they have those sort of elements as well that people can take hold of and use their moves to get across me. And that's the token thing as well. That's what they do for that. I think tokens here is just like a +1 to the your masks, so you can add that to add a +1 to something. I think that's what it said earlier, didn't it? So the city, again, we've got a panel at the top here, which just, again, shows like a city street with the rain. It's always raining, it turns out. Maybe it's that sort of Sin City effect. I don't know. So use the city when a mask interacts with people, streets, and skylines. Here, the identity is that choose at least 2. So we had Towers of the Old World, Monuments of Wealth, Crumbling Infrastructure, Overwhelming Cynicism, Labour Shortages, and Untrustworthy Faces. Conditions. Choose at least 1. I presume you do this at the beginning of your game when you're setting up. So we have Broken, Corrupt, and Crisis. So Broken condition, masks take a -1 when interacting with normal people. Corrupt, masks take a -1 when interacting with government people. And then Crisis, masks take a -1 when interacting with masked people. Now, I wonder, is that supposed to be like a NPCs? Or I guess because masks here, because it's always highlighted, that is player characters, whereas masked people, I assume, is like NPCs of some sort. Moves. Okay, so show the cost of the mask's actions. Complicate someone's view of a mundane life. Question who the masks are really helping, and put innocence in danger. So those are the hard moves you'd make if a mask failed a move of some sort. And it says here, pillars can make moves at any time, but will always make a move when a mask rolls 6 or below, so when they fail. Use moves to push the narrative and explore consequences. These moves are only a guide. Always do what makes sense in the moment. And they're here at the bottom. It says name people and locations as they become relevant. So again, it encourages you to write, I guess, in your book, which I hate personally. But yeah, a bit hard. These are hard moves, huh? Well, I think so, because it's about the story element. It's about the I guess there's no hit points or anything like that. It's just failing moves. These are the conditions, right? To the point where you would, if I scroll back up, you would, you would have a breakdown and take either some self-destruct moves or retire your character, accept doom. That's what it is. It's not like, oh, you lose hit points, or, I mean, like, because I feel like you're probably going to gain conditions quite a bit anyway, it feels like. There's no like, oh, you gain a condition, etc. And you've also got these things happening as well at the same time. But I assume this happens throughout. This is a condition that's related to the city. You don't just go, oh, you failed, you get this condition as well. I think that would come on here, wouldn't it? And the same with the authorities as well. So use it when it interacts with laws, agencies, and oppressors. We've got violence, secretive, and uncooperative. Again, it's usually a -1 depending on what you're doing. So here, violent, for fighting the authorities. When you're investigating the authorities, that's a -1 as well. And when you're asking for help from the authorities, interesting. The moves here, we've got get in the way, make things worse, compare the masks to the authorities, oh, brutal, and introduce an ally. That's an interesting one. I don't know if I would call it a hard move, that, per se. I think, again, because we said it earlier in the chat, like sometimes GMing Powered by Depockets games can be a bit tricky, because it's, again, you have to think of a lot. Again, because with GMless, everyone's got a chance to, like, give something and add something to the story. I would love to see maybe some examples of like, how do you make it worse? That are related to like the superhero genre. That could be something as well. Evil Bread says, I mean, the breakdowns seem like that. Too many breakdowns and you retire, maybe. Yeah, that's what it says. It gets to a point where I can imagine... Hang on, sorry, I keep jumping back and forth, but I think it's important to talk about it. So, you lose your friends. That's 1 here. That hurts somebody. You spill your heart out, well, you can clear the conditions. Again, it depends on the story. Like, the Doom Clock, I assume that's going to come... We're going to look at that in a second. You gain destructive moves or you leave it all behind. Those are like sort of the best. Those 3 there are quite bad. And then you got Master Pain, where you permanently have a condition. And if you've got, if you keep choosing that one, you get to a point where there's no, you are going to probably self-destruct. Maybe not self-destruct. You're probably going to, actually, if you mark all 4, you must have to self-destruct. or have that breakdown, right? That must be it. Okay. Go back to, we've done the city. Ah, interesting. So it says here, take note of the ways masks defend systems of power. So, again, just a few more notes about like how the authorities are, I guess, and keeping a note on that for the game. That's interesting. The Enigma. So use the Enigma when a mask interacts with conspiracies, casualties, and adversaries. Choose at least one. A murder. A disappearance. Revelation. Harbinger. Choose at least one. A retired mask. An old friend. A signal. A desperate victim. Someone with money. Ah, interesting. So is this like the big bad sort of like Lex Luthor type character, perhaps? Moves. Explore a new point of view. Reveal the future subtly or directly. Make them investigate. Introduce a masked adversary. And then here it says keep track of any clues and leads masks may find in their investigation. Okay, and then finally the Doom. What a great panel image there of a clock. Like sort of, I presume it's covered in blood, but it could also be melting. Who knows? The Doom. So use the Doom when a mask interacts with fate, loss, and endings. Desire. Choose at least one. We've got tragedy, rebirth, and infinity. And triggers, we've got oh, I see, this is not conditions. These are conditions up here. Harbinger, and then conditions. So we've got two conditions for the city and authorities. The Harbinger has something to do with the Enigma, and then we have triggers. So at least choose one. So time. Advance the clock every hour. I'm guessing that's every hour in game time or real life time. Hubris. Advance the clock when a mask expresses their arrogance. And then failure. Advance the clock when a mask rolls 3 or below. Okay. So here the moves are advance the clock. So that would be the hardest of moves, right? Make them cry, make them bleed, make them doomed. Write and remember everyone and everything they lose on the way. That's the notes there. Oh, interesting. So the clock. When you advance a clock, fill in a segment. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 12 segments of this clock. Which makes sense. It's a 12. Yeah. I assume then it's based on real life, real time then. Once all the segments are filled, the Doom and Desire arise. So this Desire is a tragedy, rebirth, or infinity. I probably would have a few more options just to give some examples there. Oh, and that's the game. I like clocks, not morning alarms though. Well, could you imagine if this final clock did go off and it was like a proper like alarm? So here we go. So I've got some inspirations here. That's always nice to see at the end. So Watchmen, well done everyone. Everyone's seen that. A Long Halloween for Batman. I don't know that one off the top of my head. Daredevil. It absolutely makes sense. Daredevil will be on this as well. Spider-Gwen. Got films yet? I've watched Daredevil. Logan. I actually haven't watched Logan. That's very bad. I do enjoy the X-Men films. Into the Spider-Verse. Absolutely. Could definitely see that there. Batman. Oh, and Across the Spider-Verse. Of course. And there's some other role-playing games if you were interested in like either Powered by the Apocalypse or superhero ones. So we've got Masks. Obviously, that's another Powered by the Apocalypse. Passion de la Passions. That's another Powered by the Apocalypse. That's like telenovela RPGs. That's quite good. Dream Apart, Dream Askew, of course. We've got that from Buried Without Ceremony. And then, I don't know these other ones. Galactica. I think Going Rogue is based on Galactica, I think. Crisis and Dominoes. I don't know that one. And then, that's it. That's all we've got. Oh, amazing. Alright, going back up to the top. Whoop. So, that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour, as always. But yeah, how do we find it? What do we think of Masks of the Masks? I think it is very interesting. Again, I can definitely see, like, it's very rules light, and it's very vibes heavy, right? But then I do think what is quite clever about it is that it's really focused quite hard on like making sure that every single of these little boxes with the lettering in gives you that information. I like having these sort of 5 playbooks, which seem very straightforward. I like how the playbooks themselves are on one page. I understand why that comment we had on the page saying like we'd love to have these, but maybe printer friendly grayscale version, because obviously there's a lot of dark ink that's being used there. I think I like the colouring. I like the colours here. I think they're quite bright. Too heavy. I just want to play insipid sidekick wearing leggings yelling, "Watch out!" when it's already too late. I mean, yes, I feel like this is not your typical like Batman TTRPG. I hear there is another Batman TTRPG coming out though, and maybe the Spectaculars is probably what you're sort of looking for in that sort of vibe, or Masks as well. I guess Masks and then Masks of the Masks is very much like, but what about if we talk to each other and expressed our feelings? I think that's the side of it as well. So I think if you're looking for more like superhero shenanigans and thank God you're here, Batman, that sort of vibe, then maybe this is not the game for you, which is totally fair. I think I like this comic at the start. I don't know, I'm in two minds whether or not I wish it had continued throughout. I mean, it's good that it had a lot of text to give through, so I think that was right. I think it's just, I don't know. I guess, is there a reason why it's gone into sort of black and white over colour? I don't know. I think it would be nice to have some illustrations there, but I think the big sticking point is obviously there isn't any alt text, and it's not screen readable for this. I'm also not entirely sure what the point of this particular page is. I assume it's to break up. Like, maybe you would, I don't know, give this to your players, or read it out to the players or whatever, or share it around with players, and then be like, okay, I'm going to photocopy all of these. That's where you would notify it, or like show that it needs to be done. It's the only thing I'd say. I feel like, I like how the mask moves are, everything is one page, which I think is very good. I think that's a really cool layout design. It's just very easy to do. I think, having the different archetypes as one page, and then having the different pillars as one page as well. I think I would like to see some more examples of maybe setting and tone, like what kind of superhero I want to be doing. Like, because not all superhero films are based in cities. A lot of them are, but are we doing more like campy sort of super 60s Batman versus Watchmen versus The Boys? I think there's no talk about safety tools here either, which again, maybe it doesn't need to. Maybe it's kind of obvious that it's going to be violent. Just that's the only thing I'd think on top of that. I think the forward is interesting. I know we said before, like, it's not like any other games you've played, and I think, yes, I agree. Again, I fully believe it will break your heart. I think I can imagine that happening for sure. I feel like, I don't know, I definitely would like a setting, or I definitely like a little bit more to describe it, because I don't know if this is your first TTRPG. If you really love superheroes, or love The Boys, I don't know if this is going to be for you. You know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of it is going to be, again, this is me just thinking of, like, if you think of Marvel films and Marvel rivals stuff, like, it's all about the combat and the big fights and stuff like that. Here, in Powered by the Apocalypse, it's not about that. Like, you can rough them up and you can, fights, all that sort of thing, but that's kind of it. So if you're looking for a more fight-focused combat one, that, again, is maybe on that Marvel's level, which is like, again, we're heroic. Maybe not this is for you. This is not for you. Because obviously what it's trying to prove is that it is about the violence and how that affects people, even if you have superhuman, like, enhanced abilities and skills. So, yeah. I think Masks, A New Generation is better in the superhero Powered by the Apocalypse genre. This one is okay. No one knows, not even the author. I would say, as someone who's played Masks, what I like about Masks, which we haven't covered on this channel as well, so I don't want to make too much of a comparison because they are very different games, I do think, is that Masks is about young teenagers getting to grips with their powers, right? So you have different players. You have, like, not the Anointed, but you have like the one that comes from a different planet. You've got one that is like the Doomed, the Fated, or whatever. So it definitely feels like that. Is it? No, it's like DC Teens or whatever. That sort of. Because you also have to deal with feelings as well. Yes, you're a teenager. It's like Monster Hearts. It's like you're a werewolf, but also you've got your final exam. Whereas this, I feel like it's like, it feels Logan, right? That's the thing about Logan, is that even though I've not seen it, he's an old man. He's done with your shit, but he's got to go save that kid. That's the kind of vibe for it is. It's not Deadpool, right? It can be Deadpool, but the emotional side of Deadpool. So I think that's what it is. I like the crediting of the font. I did like it. I think I really like it. I think I would be curious if I was going to run this personally. Like I said, I think I need a little bit more. But again, maybe that setting and story comes from the other players. I think, like, how do you start this? Where do you start? I think that's what I like about Possum Creek games, is that it gives you somewhere to start. Like, he talks about the setup, how we set up characters and how do we set up how do we set up the world? And that's a good point. Actually, I've just realised something, which I know sounds really silly. But you see here, it goes, roll with questions. You don't have an ability, right? You don't have any stats or anything like that. It would normally just be a 2d6. There's no way that you get a +1 on any of these things. You have to answer yes to these questions. So even then, it's really streamlined. It's only when you take conditions out, well, I've got a -2 to this. So, yeah. There you go. So that was Mask of the Masks. I liked it. Again, I'm not... I was going to type Mask of Masks into the thing. That's not what I think it was different and interesting. I think the design of it is very good. And I think there is a solid story game mechanic behind it. I don't know if it's a one-shot, and I don't know if it's a long campaign either. But, it's different. I think if you wanted to try something that was a bit more grittier in terms of storytelling than Masks, I think this is a good shout, for sure. I wondered if it'd be nice to have, like, a way to... If you've got, like, are all these heroes working by themselves? Like the air and stuff like that, are they working together? Like, what if you have, like, an anti-hero? Like a Catwoman type character. So, those are just my thoughts. So you're telling that New Generation is for triangles and Masks is for squares, huh? I'm not saying either way. I think it's your own choice what shape you believe that you are as a player. Gosh, No Thank You Evil. Yeah, well, No Thank You Evil is also technically about, like, evil superheroes and whatnot, right? That's what it is. So there you go. All right. Well, thanks for checking out with me, folks. And thanks for bearing with me as I test out what the heck's, different things on the stream. I very much appreciate it. And yeah, I've tried to change a few things around. Now we've got, like, the link tree and the various socials and various places, so go check them out. I very much appreciate it. What shape is your masks? Mine's just, if I was going to wear a mask, it'd just be a full, like, it'd be a face mask. That's what I'd have. Thank you. I know, I appreciate it. Again, I appreciate I wasn't here last week when I said I would be, and that was because ultimately the boring reason was that I was getting a lot of editing done in preparation for a few things. And I was like, I don't have time to sit down and do it, and I'm glad I've come back to it. So yeah, thanks for checking this out, friends. I very much appreciate it. Hopefully, again, as I said, every stream from now on, I'm just going to keep tinkering with stuff and see how it goes. Come check out What Am I Rolling? It's a twice-monthly TTRPG podcast where we do lots of different RPG systems and interviews with game designers. We recently released the prequel interview, which is if you like, stories of heroic sacrifices. It's basically, what if you did some world building around a final boss battle? So I had an interview with the game designers Ethan and James, and it was really good. We're going to be doing a stream of it next week on the One Shot Podcast Twitch channel, which I'll make sure to put on all the socials and stuff like that. We just need to do a bit of logistics, as we've had a player pulled out, unfortunately, but that's okay. These things happen. So we're doing that next week. It'll be in the afternoon on Monday. What else? If you're like, Fiona, I don't care for superheroes. I love D&D. And I'm like, I bet you do. Come and check out the DM's Book Club, a weekly book club podcast where we talk about some Dungeons and Dragons and discuss how we might include them in our role-playing campaigns. I've done lots of recordings for it recently, so I can't tell you exactly what's coming out, other than tomorrow. I don't know if Ben is still around, but we're doing a chat with Ben from Roleplay Retcon, where we're going to talk about perception checks and why we need to change them. Very fun conversation. And we've got a little bit of reading involved as well, so check that out when that comes out tomorrow. And what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, and of course, I am part of the RP Geeks. Now, it depends if this works now. I did add this earlier. There you go. The RP Geeks, which is, I'm one third of them, which is a nerdy TTRPG show with epic stories and fantastic facts, or fascinating facts even. I joined earlier this month, and we are doing lots of different streams coming up tomorrow, including we're doing a stream of Nibiru, which we've covered on this channel I'm not running it. I'm actually going to be a player in it. We have the wonderful Ella Watts. We have some incredible guests. We've got Kat the Law Mistress. We've got Puna M, Shamini, and myself. And it's all about sort of like we are vagabonds on this huge sort of like sci-fi ship / sort of like it feels very much like, is it Death Standing or Death? Yeah, I think it's that one, Death Standing. That sort of like moving across vast wilderness and urban settings and stuff. But none of us remember who we are. We just woke up, which is very fun. So it's all about sort of memory loss and sci-fi and all good stuff. So come check that out. That's going to be tomorrow at 7 p.m. GMT, 1 p.m. Central, for a stream of Nibiru. So come check it out as well. I'm going with Jeeks. Of course you are. Of course you are. I will never live this down. No, so yes, come with the RPGs. That's us. And then next week, actually, well, RPGs. Oh, you got me saying now. Next week for RP Geeks, we are doing Paranoia. We're doing a very special Valentine's Paranoia, which is very exciting as well. I've got lots of fun stuff coming up. In terms of what we're going to do on Thursday, because I do plan to stream on Thursday for another TTRPG. Again, we're just checking things out. Let me find my schedule. Finally, we're going back to Into the Odd. That was rescheduled from earlier in January. We're going to do Into the Odd on Thursday, which I'm looking forward to. That is, if I read it out, it is a bastion, the only city that matters. In its industrial age, it sits as the smoke-shrouded hub of mankind, surrounded by a world of lurking horrors and cosmic interference. The underground spreads beneath our feet, and the stars, not the stairs. The stars loom above. You are an explorer, braving places too far for maps and too old for records. Your expeditions touch the bizarre, wondrous, and horrific. You search for riches, but also arcana, mysterious devices with unnatural powers. So a little bit of dungeon delving, it sounds, some hex crawling about, which is exciting. I remember a long time ago I spoke to the author of Into the Odd, whose name has completely escaped me. It's currently by Free League Publishing, so that's not how... Chris McDowell. Yeah, Chris McDowell. I spoke to Chris and Johan Noll, who did the latest artwork for it as well. Evil RPG leaks. Nice. Yes, absolutely. All right, friends, I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you guys so much for joining in. I appreciate it. I'm going to try and stick to my schedule a little bit more. It's that sort of thing where I had a lot of recording and I was like, I need to go prepare for these recordings and all that. But yeah, I'll be back on Thursday for Into the Odd, TTRPG, Too Long Didn't Read, as always. And yeah, I will see you guys shortly. Have fun, guys. Where's the end of bottom things? See you later. Bye.